What is happening, everybody? Welcome to the channel. I am in pain. That's not the channel name, but yeah, welcome to the channel. How's everybody doing out there? We are talking about the Trump economy, and I just ran across this article on Reuters, and obviously, during the Biden administration, we had a lot of news that was very favorable to Biden, very, disconnected from reality. And so when I refer to these news articles, I have to kind of remember that it wasn't too long ago that a lot of these outlets were being completely dishonest about the reality of what was going on in this country during certain periods, during certain terms, presidential terms and so on. But with that being said, because I believe in being independent-minded with hopefully some decent critical thinking skills, I don't really... I lean more Republican than I do Democrat, but at this very moment, with the way Republicans have been doing things, I have decided to go complete Thomas Massie independent. Complete independent. And I keep getting ads, and I'm using my phone, and I'm not using my computer setup at the moment, just using my action camera. But it says voters prefer Democrats over Republicans on economy for first time in a decade. Reuters Ipsos poll finds. And that's something, especially being that Donald Trump kind of started this whole debacle. And there are those that say that it was started under the first Trump administration because of the COVID spending and all that. And I can definitely see that as a possibility. However, it was Democrats, or at least so we've been told, even at that time, Democrats that were pushing for a lot of the unnecessary spending. And anytime you print money, you're going to tank the economy. But I would venture to say that Biden, it happened under Biden, right? People always remember who it happens under in real time. Not necessarily the cause and effect, which is the unfortunate problem in this country, that most people do not look at cause and effect. They do not look at repercussions. They don't look at consequences, really. But yeah, we're in that area now where people are preferring. And here's the thing. So I don't. So it says registered voters back Democrats over Republicans 42 to 37%. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. What is it? Sorry about that. Americans picked Democrats over Republicans as better stewards of the economy for the first time in nearly a decade in a Reuters Ipsos poll, which is what the headline said, which also found their approval of President Donald Trump's performance failing to 35%. The finding in a poll conducted Wednesday through Monday showed how Trump's handling of the economy, including rising energy prices resulted from the Iran war, could weigh on his party's chances in November midterm elections. That will determine control of Congress for the next 2 years. Trump's presidential approval rating fell to 35% from 37% in a prior Reuters poll conducted last month, with the share of Americans who give his presidency a thumbs up within just 1 percentage point of the lowest level of his term. Some 37% of unregistered voters responding to the poll said the Democratic Party has a better approach to the U.S. economy, compared with 36% who picked the Republican Party. Another 27% said that they were not sure, or that a different party, they were not sure, or that a different party would do a better job. I don't know, I think I could do better writing than some of these guys here. Republicans had held the advantage on the economy through most of Trump's first term in office in 2017 to 2021. Through all of Democratic President Joe Biden's 4 years in power and into Trump's second term. A Reuters poll that concluded in May 2017 gave Democrats an edge, though the question was asked differently, with no option for respondents to say they were not sure or that a different party would do better. And that's the weird thing, like they didn't give them an option for answering other things, right? That's where some of these polls I kind of look at and I'm like, yeah, you're just, I feel like you're leading the narrative. And it just goes on into like further detail, kind of useless details that have nothing to do with this. But we've got a short memory, and I got to say that again, being that I'm independent, being that I don't like Democrats either. Okay. I think that every single time we get a new president, it's just worse than the last time. The guy somehow ends up becoming worse than the previous guy, going all the way back to President Clinton, then on to George W. Bush, then on to Barack Obama, then on to Donald Trump, then on to Joe Biden, then on to Donald Trump again. I think Donald Trump did pretty good in his first term for the most part. I don't think he really followed through with very many of the promises he gave last time, and he's not doing very good on this term either, as far as following through with promises made to the American public. He's following through with, it seems, to the promises that he gave to a lot of the corporations and donors and all that, and definitely to a certain country that we don't talk about in the Middle East. But other than that, I'm not seeing, I'm not impressed. And I got to say, when I'm not impressed, here's an example. You go into a restaurant, right? And you put in your money, right? You pay some money to go eat at a restaurant, and it doesn't even have to be a fancy restaurant, but it's a restaurant where you're like, man, I'm kind of betting my time on this establishment. I'm betting my time and my money on this establishment. And maybe it's money that you don't, you just can't use every day. You can't just go and eat out every day. And you go to a restaurant and you're just like, and your experience is very, very, maybe it's bad. Let's take a few different examples. Let's say your experience is bad, and you're like, well, I ain't doing that again, right? And then you give it a couple years, and you're like, well, I'll try them again, and the experience is bad again. It's bad. And then let's say you go to another restaurant, you pay the same amount of money, spend the same amount of time, and you are just wowed by the experience. You're like, wow. Like, I did not expect it to, for what I paid, I did not expect it to be this good, right? And that's rare. That's rare and the reason why I use a restaurant example is it's like, you're betting on something. You're putting time into it. You're putting effort into it. You're giving it a chance, and you're not sure what the outcome's going to be. And you're looking at it and you're like, wow, this was actually a really good experience. Like the service was good, the food was good. Maybe the food wasn't awesome, but you were surprised by how good the food was, and you're just like, wow, I'm impressed. And so I have definitely not been wowed by the Donald Trump administration. Neither in the first term or the second term. I was a little less, as far as the first term goes, aside from the pandemic, because even though it came from a lab, as has now been verified, as we knew all along, it came from a lab. I don't know who all was behind it. Maybe Trump was behind it too. I don't know for sure. Okay, but all I can say is at face value, with a pandemic, you know, it's never going to be a good time, right? It's not. You're never going to be happy with the way a president handled things during a pandemic, or at least somebody's not going to be happy with it. So you're going to get that blame, and it seems like a lot of Democrats remember that, but they don't seem to remember, you know, oh gee, you know, under Obama things really didn't get better, you know, they kind of stabilized, but they didn't really get better. Under Biden, they definitely didn't get better. They went downhill. For a while in the first Trump administration, the economy was doing pretty good, but then of course they, you know, bring on a pandemic. I say they, allegedly, whoever they is, and things go downhill. And then of course you put a bumbling idiot in there named Biden, who I would say made it worse. You know, I don't know how much better he could have made it, but a lot of the decisions that he made just were nonsensical, non-logical decisions to help improve the United States economy. And now, finally, when we saw cackling Kamala Harris, and we were like, well, we're not going to put that clown in charge of the country. We put Trump back in charge, and I'm not impressed. I'm just really not impressed. I'm very disappointed, really, honestly. And anybody could be like, oh, well, I told you. You know, a lot of the same people that voted for Biden are saying, well, we told you so. Yeah, did you, though? Did you? Because would cackling Kamala have done better, or maybe even any different? We'd probably be in Iran right now. I would bet my bottom dollar that this uniparty that we call Republicans and Democrats would have still found a reason to go into Iran, would have still found a reason not to do anything with the Epstein files. And so, no matter who you pick nowadays, I hate to say it, and it sounds so conspiratorial, but you know what? I'm not seeing any information to the contrary that says I'm wrong. Right? You can give me, you know, statistics and verified sources and all this other stuff saying that this is different and that's different and whatnot. But the reality of the common we the people, you and I, who most of us or some of us, there are some of us who believe in the Constitution, in the whole Constitution, not just picking and choosing, but we believe in the whole darn thing. And we're looking at it and we're saying, you know, we can only know and experience what we know and experience when it comes right down to it. We can only experience how empty our wallets are, how long our paycheck lasts before we're like, oh man, is it payday yet? You and I, we the people, and I say we the people very, not even tongue-in-cheek, I'm saying quite literally, we the people, not we the corporations, not we the politicians, not we the analysts or the this or the that. We the people are the ones that have to suffer from the results of the decisions of the idiots in power. And I make no apologies on that at all. I make no apologies on saying that. This is, I'm, look at me. I'm no fancy suit and tie, you know, corporate shill that is getting paid off to pretend that everything's okay. You know, I'm not, and I'm not saying, I'm not saying Tim Pool is, but I gotta say, Tim Pool has really gone from like what he used to be versus what he is now. And I think anybody who watches Tim Pool knows exactly what I'm talking about. He has gotten to be in the very safe space of saying things in a certain way for a certain agenda. And I hate that there are people that are doing that. And I know that it's hard for people to say no to money. And again, I'm not saying that anybody has given him any money or anything like that. I don't know. All I'm saying is when you see a change in rhetoric, or you see a change in the way people say things, even with Charlie Kirk, right? And how he was like, I'm going to back off of the Iran thing and the this and the that. I'm going to back off of the Epstein thing, or I think it was the Epstein thing he was talking about initially. He's like, I'm going to back off. I'm just going to back off. I'm going to trust the president and trust the administration and the process and whatever. I don't know if they had anything to do with all of the stuff that ended up happening later. But I got to say, as I look at it, I'm like, trusting the process, trusting the administration. I'm kind of worrying about that these days. It doesn't seem like a good idea. It just doesn't. And I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not gonna say that the administration had something to do with it, or that some country in the Middle East that we don't talk about had something to do with it. Excuse me. But it's kind of odd. It's kind of fishy, and the way that a lot of people will not touch certain subjects. And even people like me have to be very, very careful of how we say stuff, because we don't have powerful corporate backers, and we don't have powerful people behind us that are going to save our butts if we end up in a number of things, including litigation and so on. It's a sad place to be in nowadays, and it's sad when you had so many people demanding justice regarding the Epstein files, and the decisions were against we the people. Same thing with a lot of these gun regulations, like in Colorado, for example, where nobody voted for the recent gun legislation that says you have to have a permit and go through all these hoops to get a so-called assault-style rifle, whatever that is, right? Nobody voted for that. In fact, a lot of people, I would say, I don't know about the majority, but a lot of people were against gun restrictions in any sense. And what's ironic is the Second Amendment says shall not be infringed. And all you see in this country is infringements against the Second Amendment. And imagine if it was like, well, imagine if it was the amendments regarding slavery. If people were to, if they were to make decisions that were unconstitutional on that, and they said, well, we'll allow some slavery, right? We'll allow some slavery, and I kind of feel like in this country, we kind of do allow some slavery the way we're, getting paid and not getting anywhere and whatnot. It's like we're not really being compensated to live. At least with slavery, you got a roof and a meal, right? I'm not trying to make light of that, but I'm just saying, like, think about it. But there's all this stuff that we the people want every single time we vote for a president. We want change from not Barack Obama's change, but we want change from the previous thing. We want change from the ongoing, unchanging government bureaucracy and stupid decisions and ongoing wars, forever wars and illegal wars, and all the stuff that the old Donald Trump was speaking against, and all of a sudden, rug pull, complete and absolute rug pull. As bad as a Democrat, if not worse, which wouldn't be surprising, because Donald Trump was a Democrat for most of his lifetime, and I feel like Like maybe he learned a lot of things as a Democrat that even some of the Republicans wouldn't do. But, well, guys, that's all I had. We're at 20 minutes now, so I just wanted to thank everybody for watching. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. If you find any of this valuable to anybody, please consider sharing and consider liking. I just ask it. I don't like to really push that. You hear it from every YouTuber, but I do appreciate anybody who does like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe if you want to continue to follow the channel and see new content as it comes up, as it's produced. I can't talk today. I can't talk any day. But anyway, guys, with that being said, again, thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next time.